And welcome to another episode of SportsVibe. I'm Arnav Sarkar. I've got Jitesh Ramakrishnan. Tuesday night, we're going to recap all the NFL games of the past week. It's been a very exciting week one. It's been a very unfortunate week one for, I think, both New York football teams, although the Jets did manage to win the game, but we'll get into that in just a second. Guess first of all, the Giants took a beating. They lost 0-40, or I should say 40-0, 40-0 against the Cowboys, and I don't think it could have
It
gotten
could
any
be it
worse.
could be worse.
Well,
It could be worse. You could have lost 41. You could have lost 41-0. The Cowboys kicker missed that extra point.
yeah, that's true. But I mean, it just nothing went right. Like, I mean, even when things were going right, like they couldn't recover their own
Well,
fumble, they couldn't do anything. I mean, the offensive line did not
your
hold up
offensive line
one bit.
emulated Swiss cheese.
Yeah,
No,
especially the
it
right side of
emulated
that
Swiss
line.
cheese. Nothing but holes.
And meanwhile, Dak Prescott like was well protected by the Dallas line, and more, and then on top of that, receivers were just fumbling, not even fumbling. Dallas was just punching the ball out, and they were recovering. They blocked the kick. I mean, they were taking, Saquon had a catch, and then I think Trayvon Diggs made a nice hit with the foot, punched out the football, and it bounced into another player's hand, and they ran it in. It was just, I think even before the Cowboys offense saw the field, I think it was already like I don't even know, 16-0, 19-0, something like that. And I was just like,
Yeah,
wow. But
Dak
yeah,
Dak barely had to do anything.
right. It was just one of those games. Like there was just so much hype all off season about how the Giants are better and they have Darren Waller and Jalen Hyatt and Bruce Campbell and a better defense and like a center that they drafted in the second round and like none of it like panned out or even came close. And maybe part of it's because it was raining. Like I
I
don't want to make
mean,
excuses,
I
but
mean,
still the offensive
no,
line
no.
needs to
I
work.
mean,
None of
like,
those receivers are gonna matter if Daniel Jones doesn't have time to throw the football.
if there's one thing you can say, it is the first week of the season. But you can't
Sure.
use that excuse past like you can't use that excuse past like week 3 or week 4. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
once it gets past that, like just like we said in the previous episode, like you need like the first 3 or 4 games to gauge your team success and everything. So it's like in the first 4 games, your team starting off 1-3, 0-4. Chances are things aren't going to look too good for the next 12 and no 13 games.
True. Yeah. I mean, just like looking at the stats here, I mean, yeah, Dak didn't have to do much. He only threw for 143 yards, 13 for
I mean,
24. But I
if it's
mean,
any consolation, if it's any consolation, I would make the argument you weren't the worst New York football team this past weekend. I'd give that honor to the Buffalo
that's
Bills.
yeah. I mean, losing the game at MetLife to the Jets without Aaron Rodgers for most of it, and it's throwing three picks. I mean, Josh Allen, like, what are you doing? Like, it's just crazy. Like, I mean, he threw three interceptions to the
Listen,
same guy
I'm not
on the
complaining.
Jets.
He
Like, it's
listen,
ridiculous.
he's throwing away he's throwing away the division for my Patriots to win it. All right, so I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, they look they might be in a better shot than most people think. I mean,
No,
like the
no,
Jets
no.
have Zach Wilson, the
Jordan White,
Bills don't look good,
Jordan
and
Whitehead was
you
not
know,
the
yeah, Jordan Whitehead.
Jets MVP. That was Josh Allen.
That's fair. He threw three picks,
But
right to
but now the
Jordan
question is
Whitehead too.
where no now the question is where do the Jets go from here? Because last year was pretty much exactly the same exact Jets team with Zach Wilson, and you saw how trash they were. Well, not the defense. The defense was
Defense
outstanding.
was pretty
The
solid, very
offense
solid. Yeah,
the offense was trash last year.
yeah, especially the
And
passing game. But even, I mean, they
well
Brees Hall got injured, but like the
Zach
passing,
Wilson can't
yeah,
even throw. So,
exactly.
but like I mean, where do the Jets go from here? Because I would not
Yeah.
trust Zach Wilson behind the wheel. I
I
mean,
mean, yeah. I
may,
mean, I think
may,
he'll benefit a little bit. I mean, like from
maybe
the mentorship he's been getting from Aaron Rodgers. Like I believe he played like a little bit better. I mean, I was a little bit
no
busy last night, unfortunately, but I know that
Garrett
catch
Wilson
was
bailed them out with that
insane.
great job.
Yeah, I mean that could
But
have been a pick, but like
see,
he hauled it
no,
in. So
if I was Joe Douglas or Woody Johnson, I'd be inclined to make one of these calls. Down until like I don't know somewhere in the south. Hey Jerry, how's it going? Good. Hey, how much do you want for Trey Lance?
yeah,
I'm
honestly
serious.
though,
I'm serious.
honestly, yeah, hmm yeah, you're not wrong.
I don't.
Yeah, you're definitely not wrong about that. I've been seeing like different quarterbacks who might be, on the market. I mean, I've been seeing like, Carson Wentz. I've been seeing, I don't know why people think
No,
Tom Brady
no.
would be willing
Wentz
to
is
come back,
washed.
but I don't even know who else I've
Oh
been
hell no.
seeing, but
I
a lot of different guys. Yeah. I saw Colin Kaepernick's name out here. Like, I don't even know like what we're doing anymore. But I
no.
mean,
I think that's a lost. That's a lot. Listen,
I
that
saw
man
Matt
hasn't
Ryan. I
played in
saw Nick
7 years.
Foles. I
Give
mean,
up
I've
on that.
seen like just about every
Uh,
free
uh,
agent available, and those might not be the worst ones. Although I thought Matt Ryan kind of retired. Nick Foles, I'm
Matt,
not really sure
here's
about, but
here's the thing.
yeah,
Here's the thing though with Matt Ryan. Like, I mean, solid quarterback, nothing wrong with him. He's already in the
right.
broadcast booth, but
Hmm.
let's not forget, like, it's still going to take a long time to learn like the Jets offensive system and things like that.
Sure.
You
Oh,
can't
I
learn
saw
these
Joe
things within
Flacco,
two
by the
days.
way. That's another guy who's been on the team, I guess. I don't
Or
know. I
how about
mean,
this? The
they need
Jets
to get
trade for
someone
the
for some insurance at the very least, I guess.
or that's it. The Jets trade for their former legend with the Dolphins, Mike White.
Yeah, that's not like a bad idea, honestly. I mean, he won them like some games last season. But yeah, bad situation. I don't know. I mean, from what I heard from Robert Saleh, he said Zach Wilson's going to be the guy. I mean, I don't know if that, is going to be good for
I
them. I
guess
don't
you
think
can
it
throw the
will.
Jets season down the toilet then.
Yeah, I think they should get
You can
someone
throw the Jets
to,
season down
at
the
the very
toilet.
least, compete with Zach Wilson, if not outright, take the job or be a stopgap. Because I don't know. I don't think anyone really thinks Zach Wilson's ready for
You
a whole
kidding me?
season.
Listen, a traffic cone would be a better quarterback than Zach Wilson because the traffic cone doesn't throw interceptions. It's for that simple reason.
That's true. I just would like to think that like because Aaron Rodgers mentored him and all of that, he's at least somewhat competent.
I
That's
mean, if
nowadays,
there's
but I
one
mean,
save, if there's one saving grace that works for the Jets in this thing, like with the conditional trade that they made with the Packers for Aaron Rodgers, they won't be giving up the first round pick because the condition wasn't met.
that
You
is
know,
true.
he didn't play. He didn't play. I think the condition was like 75% of snaps or something like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah. He's not going to
I
come
guess
anywhere close.
you're only giving up a second round pick. Only.
Right. So the Packers now, I guess you can argue like won the trade pretty easily. So
Yeah.
very
So
interesting how that turned out.
I guess the Packers are still on the losing end of this trade, even though nothing resulted.
Because they didn't get their compensatory
Although the
pick, I
Packers
guess.
did have a pretty significant win this Sunday, they still apparently own the Bears, even though
Yeah.
Jordan Love, I mean, maybe it could just be that, you know, Aaron Rodgers gave Jordan Love one last call, telling him how to completely thrash the Bears any given Sunday.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the Bears defense did have its upgrades during free agency, and they didn't exactly show anything. And Jordan Love did throw 3 touchdowns. Like, I mean, were the Packers keeping Jordan Love a secret all along? Like,
I don't
I
know.
don't
I
know.
mean, it
Like,
seems like they did the same thing with Aaron Rodgers and like look how that turned out. So they
well,
might have something going here.
that was because Brett Favre refused to retire. Like,
That's
he
true.
could not figure out when he wanted to retire, and then
Yeah.
they're like, okay, gone with you, Aaron
Right.
Rodgers now.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
So yeah, might be a little bit of a similar situation. It's funny because Brett Favre went to the Jets and now
and
Aaron Rodgers went to the Jets, but then now I don't even know
so
like what's
who
gonna
knows?
happen
Maybe
with Aaron
I
Rodgers
mean
now, like whether
I
he's
mean
gonna
who
even continue to
I
play
mean
or if
who
he's gonna
knows?
retire, or, like what the
No
plan is now.
no no. Legend dictates that the next year, Aaron Rodgers, when he's healthy, he signed with the Vikings. That's what
Yeah,
legend dictates.
could be. Could very well be the case.
And I guess let's talk about the Vikings. This is probably
Good segue.
I would say this was the upset of the
That's
week.
a very
You lost to
disappointing.
Tampa Bay. Yeah, I mean, Baker Mayfield was not bad. Yeah,
Not
he was
terrible. I
not bad,
mean,
and Mike Evans, despite
like,
going without a
mhm,
contract, he still did pretty well. Holding the
yeah.
touchdown was a difference maker. Looked solid,
Meanwhile, Kirk had
and
344 yards. Yeah,
the Bucks
but
defense
hmm
the Bucks defense it's not as lethal as like 2021, but it's still a really solid, you know, core wrecking unit. So
true,
I
true, true. I saw
you know
Christian Etienne though from Rutgers had an interception in that game too, so that was kind of cool to
shout out
see.
to the Rutgers gang.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we'll probably talk about Rutgers
Yeah,
after the
we
NFL
should
recaps.
because I feel like they're the only team of any of our three that like actually won in this entire week. So, oh, I guess unless
Well,
you're
here
a Jets
I
fan or
think
something,
I
but
think I think the Patriots won morally, but
yeah,
I
we'll
digress.
talk
But
about
like,
that. Yeah,
yeah, and I guess like bouncing off the Buccaneers. Let's talk about the NFC South.
Panthers,
Carolina,
Falcons.
Bryce Young wasn't bad in his debut, although Hayden Hurst did throw away his first ever touchdown. That's not cool, Hayden. Bryce Young worked very hard to get that first touchdown, so hope you learn from that next time. And the Falcons, even without Cordell Patterson, their ground game is still solid. I forget how to pronounce his last name, like Tyler Alliger. I honestly don't know how
Algier, I
to
think,
pronounce
or
it.
Algier. I don't
Algier.
even know him.
I
Algier.
honestly don't know how
I
to
have no
pronounce his last
clue.
name,
Yeah,
but
he did.
he did
He did
well.
wow. Look at that. 75 yards, two
Yeah,
touchdowns.
and what
What happened to
in the last?
Bijan? Oh, he
Oh
also
no,
had a
Bijan
touchdown.
scored his first touchdown, I think.
Nice. Yeah.
And I guess the last team in the NFC South, the Saints.
The
Who did the
Saints,
Saints play? Right, the Titans.
the Titans,
I
and they
mean
won. I
that
mean,
was
the
just
Saints won.
a
Saints won.
battle of that was just a battle of nothing, honestly. But Derek Carr was not bad in the Saints debut, although with that interception, like aside from that, Derek Carr was not bad in the Saints debut. Chris Olave
Well,
is solid.
yeah.
Michael Thomas for like the first time in like 15 million
Right.
years actually was actually decent with the football. It's amazing what you can do when you're healthy.
Yeah. Saints are still
And
my pick to win the South. Or I just think they have the most consistency. They have the best defense. They have the most
no,
experience.
that's not a question. The Saints are winning the South. Like
Oh yeah. Mhm.
I don't think that's a. I mean, honestly, the NFC South, you could win this division probably by being 6-11.
Yeah, something like that. And just win
You
all the
probably
divisional
could.
games. Yeah. Yeah. I'll definitely 8-9. Probably do it. I would think. And Ryan Tannehill threw
And
three picks.
I guess,
Wow.
and we're just talking about the NFC South and the Saints opponent, the Titans. Let's transfer over to the AFC South. The
hmm
Titans, you looked awful. Derrick Henry couldn't get anything going. Ryan Tannehill once again imitates an overcooked pasta noodle with his throwing arm. So and DeAndre Hopkins though was not bad in his Titans debut, if that's one
Not
saving
bad at
grace.
all. Yeah.
But um, the Texans, they,
Texans
I
are
mean,
still the Texans.
yeah, of course, but it's like the thing is like team Rome wasn't built in a day, and the Texans aren't going to be Super Bowl champions in a day. So it's like
Yeah,
it takes time to build
it
things.
is.
But
And the
it's like,
Ravens are supposed to be pretty good this year, and they looked the part in the opener.
well,
I
I
think
don't
well,
know,
they
but
did lose
I don't
J.K.
know.
Dobbins, unfortunately, so that's rough for them.
I,
But
I
yeah,
mean,
I mean,
I think
yeah,
JK, I think JK's career is done. Like because done, he's suffered nothing. I mean, nothing against the guy, but it's like he suffered nothing but injury after injury after injury after
I
injury.
know
Now
it's
back-to-back
rough.
seasons
Yeah,
with the season-ending injuries, and I believe this was his contract year. No,
oof,
wait, what year is
man,
Dobbins drafted? 2020.
I think so.
All right, then next year would be his contract year, but he has zero leverage, and ironically, doing this with the running back holdout, zero leverage for him. So
Yeah, 2020.
this might be the last we see of J.K. Dobbins potentially. It's
Wow,
sad because he
that's
never
rough.
really had a chance to prove himself because he was too injury prone.
Yeah,
It sucks, but what can you do from there? And I guess going back to the AFC South, Colts and Jaguars, Anthony Richardson. It
not
doesn't matter
bad.
that the Colts
Yeah.
lost in that game. He was
He
pretty
was
damn
solid.
good.
See, the thing is, for my fantasy team, I had Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson, and I think I might have to start Richardson after like what happened this week.
For my fantasy team, Joe Burrow laid a dud, but luckily I
Oh
had
man,
Tyreek Hill on my team.
half my team was like a dud. So like I just went to the waiver wire and picked up like a bunch of people just to mix in the lineup. I'll have to make some
Did you
decisions.
pick up those two Rams receivers no one ever heard of?
Yeah, I picked up one of them, yeah, and then Kendrick Bourne from the
Okay.
Patriots. Yeah, it'll be interesting because T. Higgins
Well,
laid an egg.
Kendrick Bourne,
So.
no one had Kendrick Bourne on their team in your league.
No, I guess he was one of the top guys to not make it, so it's interesting. So yeah, because at the
Yeah.
end of the draft, everyone was
Oh
kind
wait,
of
wait,
like fooling
wait.
around a little bit, so including myself, and I
Yeah.
just picked up like Hodgins and Jam High and was messing around. So yeah, now I actually got some guys who
Hey,
could probably like make a dent. So we'll see how that goes, I guess.
hey, you got to do what you got to do. And
Right,
going back to the Colts opponent, the one team we didn't talk about, the AFC South, the
the
Jaguars, like their offense
Jaguars.
didn't fully click. Their offense didn't fully click, but even then, they still put up 31. And
True.
Calvin Ridley came back. Calvin
Yeah,
Ridley came
looks
back.
good.
Yeah,
Looks
and
like yeah, they're gonna build
uh,
on what they had
Jack.
last year,
I
winning the
mean, but
division.
I mean, it's no
A weak
contest.
division.
Jaguars are
Yeah,
winning the
I know.
division.
They
It's
have to. Yeah, they're like the only like good team in the division. So
I
everyone else is
mean, the
kind of
Titans
rebuilding or
can
falling
maybe
apart. Yeah, the
the
Titans
Titans at
maybe,
best
but
can be
like I just
500 at best.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it just seems like things are. I don't know. I mean, they have like Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins, so they also have
No, no,
Ryan
no,
Tannehill. So like you know what I mean. Like I don't know. That's gonna
no.
exactly go. And Derrick
Those
Henry
three are
didn't
all getting
exactly
old.
look that great either. I mean, he looked okay, I
No,
guess.
I mean I would say he looked human, not
Yeah, he looked
like
human. Yeah, Hopkins was pretty good
yeah.
for his debut, I would say.
All right.
Yeah. So that's
And
the whole,
I
pretty much the whole AFC South.
all right, and then leading off with Dolphins, let's talk about the AFC North. Ravens, even when you win, you still lose. It sucks. And Lamar wasn't that
Yeah,
great.
another Jet
Lamar
situation
wasn't
there, I
that
guess.
great. But it's a tough pill to swallow. But you can and the Steelers. I mean,
Oof,
granted,
that's
you're going
rough.
against the 49ers, but you got trounced.
I know.
Kenny Pickett
Absolutely
was
rough.
getting Kenny picked off, and he gave the game away for the 49ers. Uh,
Yeah, McCaffrey did
but
well. Purdy did well.
let's talk
Ayuk
about
did well.
let's the one AFC North matchup that
Oof.
with the completely different response no one was anticipating. I mean, of course, going into the game, Joe Burrow was like 1-5 against Cleveland, and now that's
Hmm.
1-6. And Joe Burrow, you let me down because normally
He
I'm used
just
to
got
you
his big
balling.
payday, and then like he just lays an egg. Like it was just a dud performance.
Yeah,
82 yards,
but
14 for
and
31. Not great.
but this could also be like because remember he's missing all of training camp with like
That's
that
true. It
calf
could be
strain
like
or
a rust
whatever.
type of thing, and he's coming off an injury. Yeah.
Yeah, but that did not look good. But
And he
the
got
one
benched
team
for
that
Jake
did look
Browning.
good,
Yeah, yeah. The Browns
yeah,
look
but
pretty good though. Wow.
the one no, yeah, the Brown, my lord,
The
their
Cleveland
front
Browns.
line. No, Miles Garrett was practically leading the
They're
Bengals offensive line.
all over Joe Burrow there. Yeah. Stacking. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
I guess stretching back to the North, we forgot to talk about the Lions, even though they played on Thursday.
NFC
I
North. Yeah,
did
Lions Chiefs the opener.
now personally, I don't think the Lions beating the Chiefs was an upset. I really think the Lions had potential to do it before the game started. And yeah,
Yeah,
Kelsey
especially
was
without Kelsey and Chris Jones. I think that definitely played a role. And the fact that Kadarius Tony just like could
I
not
mean,
catch anything thrown his way.
listen, but here's the thing. Chris Jones missing week one did not change the fact that Patrick Mahomes was 2 for 12 in the second half of that game. Yes, you heard that
Yeah.
right. He was 2 for 12.
2 for 12. Well, three of those are probably like Tony's fault, but I mean, but still, yeah. The Chiefs need like
Here
another receiver,
here's
and
the Giants fan
hopefully,
blaming Kadarius Tony yet again.
yeah. I mean,
You still can't get
Giants
over
fans were
that, can you?
so happy to see that. It was hilarious. But then, then they got
Yeah,
shut out themselves.
but
So
I bet he was happy. I bet he was happier seeing them boys drop 40 on y'all.
he was he posted about that on Instagram. So I don't know why
Of
he'd be
course he did.
talking, but I mean, anyway, yeah, interesting stuff. But
All right.
yeah,
What
I mean, I guess it's like they just need an even the other receivers weren't anything like that impressive, to be honest. I mean, Travis Kelce, like I hope he gets healthy
I
quickly
mean,
because he's going to be
listen,
their
really
number one receiver again.
all Mahomes really needs is Kelsey, and they'll be fine
Exactly.
offensively. And
Yeah.
now, unfortunately, Chris Jones is back, but he's hitting free agency again next year, so hopefully that steals away from something.
Right. Yeah. It's a 1 year deal. It's like the same thing that happened with Saquon. It's like it's good that they're playing and they're here and they're ready to go, but then it's just
Yeah,
like this whole thing's going to happen again next off
except here's
season, and they might walk.
here's the difference. except here's the difference. Someone on the front seven is far more valuable these days than a
Oh
running
yeah.
back, like
Oh yeah.
regardless if you're starting or not.
Oh
Like
yeah. Hmm.
as we discussed in the last
I don't
episode,
even think that's a question.
running backs are like dinosaurs now. You're pretty much you're on the verge of death. Like I mean, of course the dinosaurs died 65 million years ago, but it's like now today you're a dinosaur about to go extinct.
Yeah. Anyway,
And
so
well,
right.
now we just have the East and the West to talk about.
Yeah. Right.
Well,
Both
we didn't
East
talk
and
about we didn't talk about Washington in the NFC East. You played,
we
you
played the
somehow got
Commanders
the win.
and
Yeah,
yeah.
you somehow got the win against the tanking Cardinals. Somehow, I don't know how, but
Mm.
perhaps, perhaps the
They
worst
pulled
team to get
through.
a win this week. I'd
Yeah.
argue that.
Yeah. And yeah, the fact that they're even in a fight with the Cardinals, I mean, doesn't look good for Washington. I wonder how it's gonna bode for the Giants running into the Cardinals next week. I mean, that's the perfect team after you lose 40 to nothing. And that's a perfect way that you can bounce back. The Giants,
Yeah,
they're still better than the
perfect.
Cardinals, definitely. And, I think they can really take it to them. And, it's one game, it's a long
Are
season.
you sure the Cardinals didn't exactly lose by 40? I mean, I'm yanking
That's
your
true.
chain,
Yeah, I
but like
know, but like, I mean, it's a matchups thing, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And
I mean, but
yeah, yeah,
listen,
yeah.
there's embarrassing, and then there's what the Giants did on Sunday night.
True. But I'm just saying, like the Cardinals, that's like the one way to completely erase. I don't think it'd erase the memory because against the Cardinals, but you want to win in the win column, like here's a perfect team. I mean, they have a tough schedule otherwise, but I mean Arizona, like you've gotta beat the Cardinals. I mean, they're literally tanking. They're probably not
Yeah,
even trying to
well,
win from the front
well,
office perspective at least. And I mean,
well.
like they
Speaking
have
of
to. If they
teams
go
with
0-2 with the Niners coming up in the rest of their schedule in the first 6 weeks, I mean, they play Miami and Buffalo and well, I mean, the Bills might not look so good, and the Seahawks, but still, like, they
yeah,
can't afford to lose this game.
well,
It would be
still,
unacceptable.
still speaking. I don't want to hear that because speaking of teams with this tough schedule, my Patriots, we have like pretty much the hardest schedule in the league, and we face the defending NFC champs. Week one, of
I was
course,
watching a bit
TB12,
of that game,
the
and
half
it was 16-0,
halftime
and then the
retirement
Patriots
ceremony.
came
I
back
mean,
on them, and
the
then the
the
Eagles kind of hung
the,
on.
fir- the first quarter was awful, but like aside from
Right.
that, we won this game. Like considering where our offense
Yeah.
was last year, having Bill
Let's.
O'Brien having Bill O'Brien instead of that fool Matt Patricia is a definitive improvement. Mac looked like a new man, 316 yards, 3 touchdowns,
Oh
two
yeah.
to Kendrick Bourne, one to Hunter Henry. I mean,
Hmm.
if really the only thing I can criticize on the offense is lack of production from Ramondre and Zeke, and
And Zeke, yeah.
of course Boutte, like those two
Right. Right.
catches out of bounds that cost us right there. And even though we had two rookie linemen stepping in the guards have uh still played very well, and that's who like against the Eagles front seven. Like
I
I
know. Yeah.
I feel very optimistic as a Patriots fan right now. And of course, our defense right now: Christian Gonzalez, Jabril Peppers, Marte Mapu, Keon White, like, and of course Kyle Duggar. Like,
Hmm.
I feel really good about this team, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Patriots
I
look
mean,
good in the loss.
sure on the score sheet, whatever it's called, it's an L, but this game was the W itself, and we could have won this game. We definitely we definitely missed our opportunities, especially on those two fourth downs. But and sure, I would have liked to win, especially on when Tom Brady was coming back. I
Right.
mean, not to play quarterback, of course, but still celebrate the good times in Gillette.
Yeah.
Hey, but
It seemed like they were kind of
I feel
there and then
good.
they faded. Yeah, I was watching like kind of more in the beginning and in the middle, and then at the end, I guess I see that Jake Elliott kind of hit some field goals. It kind of did just enough to kind of pull away, and I guess the Patriots can convert some fourth downs. I think the Eagles did to ice it, and it was a
Yeah,
rainy
it's
game, so it was one of those kind of things.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Anyways, now we've covered everything there. We just gotta cover
Pretty
the
much
West teams.
the
Of
West.
course, of
Yeah,
course,
Broncos,
Broncos country,
Raiders.
let's die.
I mean,
Broncos country, let's die.
Russell
Like,
Wilson was looked better than last season. I guess you could say that
oh
probably.
no, obviously, but it's like, did I forget
Or
what
they
was
still
the
lost.
stats last year? Like, no, it's not that. Like, I forget what the stat was last year, where it's like the Broncos were like in games where they scored less than like 17 points, they were like 2-9 or something like that last year.
Hmm.
Like,
And they scored
and of course, the
16 and they
curse still
lost by
lives,
one, 17-16 to Jimmy
which is ironic,
Garoppolo's Raiders.
which is ironically the same score they lost to the Seahawks last year in Week 1.
Wow,
So
interesting.
I don't, I
Seventeen
don't know what to
sixteen.
say about
I don't
that.
even remember
The
that.
Broncos may very well be cursed, but they are definitely not the most cursed team in the AFC West. That would be the Chargers.
Yeah. That was like
I
some
mean,
that was
personally, I
some
love when.
shootout that they had with the Dolphins. Like a lot of offense, that's for sure.
Well, unfortunately, your revolver ran out of bullets on the last draw, and the Chargers lost that. I mean, personally, I love watching the Chargers fail. I mean,
It's
I feel
hilarious.
no, no, no. It's the greatest comedy you can watch any given Sunday. Watching the
Hmm.
Chargers fail, and you can especially count on them to do that in the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
Fail.
Up 27-0 against the
I
Jaguars
mean,
and losing that game.
listen,
All
I'm
time.
happy. I'm happy Tyreek got me. Yeah, I'm happy Tyreek got me the win in fantasy, but I'm furious he got the Dolphins the win on Sunday. So shame on you,
Yeah.
Tyreek.
I guess
I
they're
hate you.
the wait, no, the Jets won, but like the AFC East is like kind of looking a little different now. It's like, the Jets don't have Zach Wilson. The Bills, I mean, well, they do have Zach
I
Wilson. They don't have Aaron Rodgers. The Bills look miserable, at least
mean,
in one
I mean,
game.
I,
Dolphins won, I guess, and
I'd
then the
give the
Patriots,
yeah,
they
I'd
almost
give the
won.
power
So
rankings for the AFC. Now, my AFC's power rankings right now are like this: one Dolphins, two Pats, three Jets,
yeah,
because you don't have a quarterback, but
right.
you do have ferocious defense,
Mm-hmm.
and four Buffalo. That's what I'm calling them, Buffalo. Like,
Buffalo. So
yes,
the
and
Bills, yeah. Mhm.
of course we all know what the Bills stand for. Like BILLS, it stands for
That's
Boy I
lame.
love losing Super Bowls.
Uh,
Always my favorite thing to say.
boy,
And
I love losing to.
you
Yeah,
mentioned the
that's very
West.
funny.
Yeah,
Right.
you mentioned the West. Let's talk about the NFC West for a second, and then
Mm.
we'll talk
So
about
yeah.
what I want to
Mhm.
for a little bit. So,
Okay.
of course, the
Right.
49ers looking like the best team in the
Oh
NFL right
yeah.
now. I mean,
I
it's
I
week
hope
one,
that
but still.
continues. I mean,
No,
not really.
no. I listen. Here's the
You
thing.
know why
I
I'm
want
saying
Brock
that,
Purdy to
but
succeed,
like, yeah. Hmm.
but like Brock Purdy, like I mean, this was like the most questionable like we've seen San Francisco, because you trade away Lance, Sam Darnold is your number two, and your number one quarterback is coming off of shoulder surgery or elbow
Right.
surgery. I forget which one it is. Brock Purdy was
ACL.
not bad in
Yeah.
his debut. And of course, Nick Bosa signs his contract, so
Right.
that's
Yeah.
something you don't have to worry about right there.
Yep.
The 49ers still look unstoppable. Well,
Yeah.
until like the NFC Championship game, at least.
Uh,
Um,
yeah. Hopefully
and
that goes a little differently this year, but
yeah,
anyway.
and the last two teams we need to talk about, Seattle and Los Angeles. Seattle looked pretty good for the first half, and then after that, completely shut down. Matthew Stafford. Uh, even though
Wow.
like all those two
That's
guys are now waiver
surprising.
pickups, I forget exactly what the names are.
The receivers, you mean?
Yeah, for the
Tutu
Rams.
Atwell and um I don't even know the other guys. Like Puka Nakua or something like that. Yeah, I don't
Something
even know
like
how to
that.
pronounce that. Nakua and Tutu Atwell both had 119 receiving yards seemingly like out of nowhere, and the Rams won the game. Despite not having like Cooper Kupp apparently, and yeah, they look pretty good. They dominated a Seahawks team, and it was supposed to be the other way around, where the Seahawks were supposed to be kind of the second best team in the NFC West, and Rams kind of flipped
Uh,
that on them. I guess
listen,
Geno Smith looks kind of
listen.
mediocre-ish, at least in his
I
first
mean,
game.
I mean, it's the beautiful thing about sports, the unpredictability. It's both a blessing and a curse.
Right.
I think like no matter what teams we support, I think we can all agree on that as
Yeah,
sports
the
fans.
unpredictability is what makes sports fun. Um, because yeah, I mean, if the games are just played on paper, then you know what I mean. Like, if every team that was supposed to win won, like it wouldn't be fun. The fun is the upsets and the matchups and all the storylines and things like unexpected happening. That's what makes it a lot of fun. Like, yeah, I completely agree with like what you're
And
saying there.
and speaking of the unexpected, here's the thing I want to talk about. I think this was the best week for sports because we had football back. I mean,
Hmm.
really, that's all you could say. Like we had football
Yeah,
back, but
in
we
full
also
swing.
had the U.S. freaking Open. And
Finals. Yeah.
as a
Hmm.
tennis fan, yeah, as a tennis fan, I loved it. And and like unpredictable. Honestly,
Hmm.
I thought I thought Sabalenka was going to straight set Coco Gauff, and there's definitely that chance. There's definitely a chance of that happening until the second set where Coco was able to break free, and then she completely. But I think the key turnaround in the third set was during the third set because Coco did not let up in the first two games, and you could see like everything was in her favor along with the U.S. crowd because it's New York. Coco Gauff,
Right. Yeah.
first American woman to win the U.S. Open since Sloane Stephens in 2017, if I remember correctly. So USA, USA,
Yeah.
USA.
Shout out
So
Coco Gauff. That's her first major title too. I mean, so I mean
dude,
that's
if you think about it, dude,
very
she
incredible.
listen, man, she's 19. She's 19, becoming an international tennis superstar, and here we are, just yeah,
We're just discussing it. Yeah. Hmm. And
yeah.
then on
But
yeah.
in
Hmm.
other news, and it pains me to say this because I'm a huge Roger Federer fan, but it's the return of the king,
Novak
Novak
Djokovic.
Djokovic,
Yeah. That was a
and
good final too.
and in a rematch of 2021 U.S. Open Finals that did not go the way of 2021, where Medvedev straight swept Djokovic all 6-4, 6-4, 6-4. Here, Djokovic straight sets Medvedev. I was going to say sweep for a second because we're used to saying that
Right. Right.
terminology. 6-3, 6-3, 7-6, and 6-3.
6-3. Yeah.
Djokovic was masterful. The one criticism me and especially my dad had of Medvedev was that he was playing very passive and like was almost refusing to like approach the net. Like he wasn't doing any volleys or whatever, trying to like do any drop shots to draw Djokovic in and then pass along the forehand on the opposite cross court and all those things. So it's like that's the one criticism we had of Medvedev. But regardless, like Medvedev is still a great young tennis player, and you know we can expect great things from him. Same with
Yeah.
Alcaraz. Like even though he lost in the finals to
Sure.
Donlo, it it's still like like
Yeah.
we as tennis fans are in a good place right now. I mean, I'd argue like I was utterly like you and I, we were utterly spoiled. On the men's side, we had Roger, Rafa, and Novak all playing at once. And my lord, every match we saw for them was a must watch, like every match. And of course, like it's gonna be a matter of time before Alcaraz gets there, Francis Tiafoe, Ben Shelton,
Yeah.
and Medvedev. Like it's gonna be a matter of time, and of course Casper Ruud. It's gonna be a matter of time before we get to that like echelon of I don't know if tennis greatness is the right thing to say, but watchability. There we go. Watchability, I guess.
Yeah. And there's been so many American players on both sides, like not only the women's side, the men's side too, that have really stood out. I mean, just looking at this tournament, we've had deep runs by, Taylor Fritz and Ben Shelton, Francis Tiafoe, and then of course, we're talking about Carlos Alcaraz who lost to Medvedev. It's just a great time in, men's tennis with, and then of course Novak Djokovic winning it, and then, but a lot of Americans having a lot of success. And then on the women's side, Coco Gauff, Madison Keys. I mean, Jessica Pegula. I mean, so many
No,
American women, and yeah, mhm.
Madison Keys completely blew it. Like
Yeah, I know,
she
but
she
yeah,
choked it.
really had a great chance to win that game. It was up, I think, like
No, no, but
5-3 in
like
the
here's
second
the thing,
set, and
like
then
sometimes you
collapsed. Yeah,
don't no, sometimes you don't recover from things like that because like for example, like uh me and a couple other friends, ever since this happened in 2021, like, and I will say this on the airways right now, I could be proven wrong eventually, but we've said Tsitsipas will never win a major. Like ever since he blew the French Open final,
right.
like in 2021, like where he's up two sets to none, and he just completely collapsed. Like we've maintained our beliefs that Sissy Possible never win a major, and so far he's proven us right. I mean, of course, there's still time to prove us wrong, but you saw him. He he was non-existent in the U.S. Open, so I mean,
Yeah,
I want him to win a major, but what happened? I have no idea.
it's true. Yeah.
And of
Yeah.
course,
That's
last
unfortunate.
things to yeah, last things to wrap up. The baseball division and wild card race is still heating up. Texas has Texas has long uh, Texas is pretty much holding on to a thread for playoffs. Same with Seattle, but the race is still heating up. There's very little games left to go. The Braves are still like completely destroying everything. But I'm looking forward to these to those last couple of weeks, and then playoff baseball. Here we come, and I see that we don't have a whole lot of time left. So Arnav, I'll leave you to close it with
All right.
the Rutgers thrashing of Temple.
Yeah. Close game for 3 quarters. Temple scored a touchdown early in the fourth to make it 13-7. From then onwards, it was a run game. Kamanunga, Gavin Wimps had some nice passes in there. He had one to Jaquay Jackson, but really Kamanunga in the running game got going. Rutgers defense has been outstanding at 2 picks, and Rutgers iced it. And shout out to Jay Patel for his performance on special teams, making 3 field goals, 3 extra points, and winning the Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week. So, as an Indian American who's a huge sports fan, college football fan in general, I know you are too. I'm sure we're all very proud of him. I'm also a Rutgers student, New Jersey guys, and
No, no,
yeah,
it's the
it's
Rutgers
just
pride,
great
and
for
that's who
exactly.
that's who some of my favorite players ever were from Rutgers. Like
That is
Devin
true.
McCourty, I
Hmm.
have his jersey. I love Devin McCourty.
Right. Yeah.
Probably, I would argue the greatest Rutgers player ever. Like greatest Rutgers football player ever. Not a question in my mind.
True. Yeah. So yeah, RU Pride, Rutgers Pride, also Alabama lost to Texas, so that's we maybe could talk about that with Kapil. But this is gonna be, another episode of Sports Vibe. Um, love talking football, and have a good week, and we'll see you next time.